So I'll just wait until we get the message that we are on. And I think that we are on. And so let's put the title in first because I always forget to do that. And the title of this is going to be called Where Are the Customers? Or who is your customer? No. How about identify who your customer is? Identify who are your customers. That's better. I always forget to put the title in. Uh-oh, did I? Okay, so let's do it. All right. And this is an impromptu live chat. I did not plan to do this today, but I'm going to do it because I'm sitting here. All right. All right. And so, good morning. Oh, actually, good afternoon. It's 12:01 p.m. And my name is Candia Hainsworth, and I am with Candia Hainsworth Designs, and I am the president of the Group Embroidery Boss on Facebook. And I just wanted to do a little bit of chit chat. And today we are going to be talking about identifying who are your customers. I thought to do this really as short notice, actually this morning after I was thinking about a telephone consultation that I had with a embroidery mentoring student last night. And she's doing some social media assessments. And we were talking about who are your customers. And I find that, as an embroidery business owner, a new embroidery business owner especially, a lot of the times we overlook the people that are around us. And so I want to tell you that whether you are a new embroidery business owner or an old embroidery business owner, seasoned one, I don't want to say old, I like to use the word seasoned. I want you to not think about who your ideal customer is. We'll talk about that at a later time. We just want to talk about, identifying who your customers are, because when you know who they are, then you can develop a customer base, right? And so your customers should be identified as your friends, your family members, your neighbors, organizations, clubs in your community. It could be sports teams, co-workers, facilities, local businesses, and so forth. How you're going to narrow that down is first you need to determine what are you providing, okay? And what I find one of the biggest, not the biggest. I don't want to say the biggest because there are so many mistakes that a new embroidery business owner can make, and even seasoned embroidery business owners make. One of the biggest mistakes that they make is that everybody becomes their customer. You're going to set yourself up to fail when you do that. And I'll tell you why. It's impossible to have everyone as your customer. Narrow it in. Target someone, target people, but not everyone. If you think about all of successful businesses in any kind of industry, they have a market for people who like them. McDonald's target people who like burgers. If you like hot dogs, that's not the place to go, right? And so Nathan's target people who like hot dogs. I mean, they do sell burgers, but hot dogs is their bread and butter of the company. So target people who are going to need and want what you have, okay, and what you are offering. And so one of the things that you want to do is you want to know what you are offering. So once again, just because you have an embroidery machine doesn't mean you got to embroider everything. Have a narrow end target on what you want to offer. All right. And so in regards to your family members, neighbors, friends, organizations, club groups, co-workers, facilities and local businesses, they're all going to be in different categories. Okay. And so what I'm saying to you is, if you are just promoting your business, then have a promotion according to what they would need. All right. So that means that if you were going to target, let's say, schools, okay, maybe you might want to do a couple of in the hoop pencil cases, okay, something like that. You don't want to do personalized baking sets to school. You know what I mean? Because it just doesn't work. So if you are going to go broadly for a little bit, then make sure that you have some limitations there as well. And then you want to kind of prioritize them, okay? You want to think about, okay, who can I benefit from as the business owner first, and who is more likely to buy from me. All right? And so when you prioritize them, then you will know what you should be making, which brings me to my next point. You got to know what you're making. All right. You got to know what you're making in order to target who your customers are going to be. If you don't know what you're making, then what are you selling? And if you don't know what you're selling, then who are you selling to? And so, you got to really think about this before you are going into it. One of the things that one of the embroidery mentoring students had said to me is that she is at the beginning stages, and she is more fearful than anything else because she just doesn't want to fail. She want to get it right. You know what? You can't be afraid to fail, and I know that that's easier said than done, especially when we're talking about buying embroidery machines and we're talking about buying inventory and stuff, because you are at a a blessed point in your embroidery business if you are at the beginning phases. And the reason is because you don't know what direction that you should be going into, so now is the time to develop it. All right. And so when you are at the beginning phases and you don't know who your customers are, now is the time to kind of develop something, opposed to being being a well-seasoned embroidery business owner and having to go in a different direction. That's hard too. When you have something already set up and the trends change, the times change, and now you have to go into a different direction altogether. And so, one of the things you want to kind of do is, after you prioritize them, now you want to ask yourself this question: what is the compelling reason people would choose your embroidery business, your embroidery services over another embroidery business? Okay, and so that's going to be another reason or another way that you can identify your customers. When you have a reason, they will choose you. Okay, so what puts you ahead or sets you apart or aside from other embroidery business owners? Why should they come to you? All right, so for example, if you are a person, an embroidery business owner who are doing jerseys, so to speak, okay, the jerseys with the sport jerseys with the big letters, or the not letters, numbers, okay. Are you offering the glitter numbers, or is it just fabric? So you might have an edge over another embroidery business owner, and you want to market that, all right, to that particular organization. How would you do that? By printing flyers up and maybe hanging out in the parking lot of these community games and so forth, and waiting to the games end and then kind of passing your flyers out to parents as they walk into the cars with their children. Okay. And so if I'm a person that sells wedding baskets, I'm not going to be in the parking lot of a soccer game. I'm not, even myself, if I'm selling baby ensembles, I'm not going to go there, and pass out flyers for babies either. So you got to kind of position yourself where you need to be, know what you're doing, and know what your target is. All right. And most importantly, set yourself apart from someone else. So when developing my niche, because I get a lot that question as well, people always want to know, like, how did I develop my niche and so forth. When developing my niche, I got to tell you that, right now, I kind of joke about, targeting fussy clients and so forth. But, you know, actually, that was actually kind of thrown on me. I didn't just announce, oh, Candia is the person to go to because she understands fussy clients. What happened was, it started out as a joke, to be quite frank. And it kind of spread it around, like, oh, you know what, my sister is fussy. I know that I told her to go to you because you do well with that. And it just kind of spread like that. It wasn't something that I said myself, because actually when I first heard it, I kind of took it like a negative, like, wait, what? You know what I mean? And I kind of turned a negative into a positive and just kind of played off of it like that. And so what I did was, because I had a certain amount of clients that were a little bit more demanding, all right. I pretty much, what I consider myself, have, and I'm still in that mastering phase, because you never could learn or know too much in this business anyway. But I'm to the point where I have mastered it thus far. Thus far. And what would set me aside from another embroidery business owner? I can tell you, straightforward, that my embroidery services that I provide, simply put, provides a better hand holding experience. That's what it really is. I provide a better hand holding experience. And so all those little things that someone would probably say, oh boy, this is a headache, it's not a headache for me. But because I know that I put so much into the work order, the work in order progress, okay, making sure that the client is good, or they up to date, they're good, they're on full speed, they know exactly what's happening. It's a better hand holding experience that I provide, that a lot of other embroidery business owners are not willing to provide because it's a headache, or simply put, they don't have time. All right. And so that gives me an edge over someone else, because I am not the only one who embroider. And so a lot of the times, by the time my customer comes to me, they've already experienced something else from somewhere else, or heard of another experience of something that they got off of Etsy or something, and someone wasn't answering emails and so forth. And with me, it's a completely different experience. And that is how the referrals come in. And so for me, if I had to identify my customers, a lot of the time, once again, these are customers who have, I don't want to say burned, because a lot of the times it's not necessarily a transaction that's gone wrong. It's a transaction that they just wasn't necessarily happy about. And so my strategies became pretty much kind of master that, the services that I am providing. All right. Now, how do you reach your customers? Okay, so we're talking about how to identify your customers. And before I go into how to reach them, I just want to kind of scroll down, because I just realized that 11 people are watching. And I just want to say hi, Sheila Cushionberry. Hi, Charlene Mitchell. Good morning or good afternoon. Nicole Harvey. Good morning. Good afternoon. And then Joni Thurman says, this is Joni from Augusta, Georgia. Okay, you stop doing your homework, girl, but you better go and do that homework. Let me tell you that much. You go do your homework. You can always watch this tape later. And then D Heart 25. Good afternoon, good morning. And then Sheila says, how long have you been making this as a business? I started my business back in 2009. All right. Back in 2009. So I don't have a decade in. However, before 2009, I was the owner of a uniform store, a medical uniform store, where I had that for about 5 years. And I did basic embroidery in that uniform store. So only doctor's lab coats, scrubs, that kind of thing. Maybe somebody wanted an emblem or something, for a nurse or something like that, logos. But no ensembles. There was never a time that I was doing ensembles when I had my uniform store. That didn't actually come well until after I had stopped uniforming or providing services at uniform stores, and that's when I came up with the idea. All right, so let's talk about how do you reach your customers, okay? And so we already talked about how to identify them. And I would say that if you are starting, once again, just to kind of summarize it, to identify your customers, you want to look around at people who you have contact with. And these are going to be your coworkers, your Facebook friends, your Facebook family, your neighbors, your church members, organizations, your local facilities. These are going to be your potential clients that you can reach out to. And I would just narrow in on which ones are the hardest to reach. All right. And so let's talk about how to reach them. All right. So I'm going to talk about advertising. Advertising, one of the things that I will tell you is about the trends. We all know that back in the day, and when I mean back in the day, I'm talking 10 years ago, 20 years ago, especially. And then before then, newspaper, you would do this newspaper thing. Okay. And then, it's who I mean, you'd have the Sunday paper still, where you have the big stores like J.C. Penney and Family Dollar, and the big companies, they still advertise. But I'm talking about people like us, small people who don't have that budget to do a full color page flyer in the newspaper. I would say stay away from the newspaper unless you are living in a small town and they have a circulation of, let's say, 5,000 people, and it's not that much. Then it's worth doing a flyer. But something like the Daily News, and I'm not trying to disparage anything, any company, I'm just saying that it is going to be too risky and too costly for you to say, I'm going to take out an ad in so-and-so, especially the fact that you're competing up against these multi-million-dollar mogul companies. you might lose. Chances are you're going to lose. And so I'm saying that if you do have a budget for advertising, you really want to invest it where you are going to get the most bang for your buck. So let's talk about business cards. Let's talk about flyers. Let's talk about postcards. Okay. Don't be discouraged from now. We all talk about my business card. Now, you would think that I would have, oh, I do have the business card next to me. All right. And so if you've had not seen my presentation on my business cards, you can see now that my business card looks like this. All right. And then the back of it looks like this. And so what happens is, I'm trying to see if I'm in focus here. Can you see that? And so what happens is customers instantly get a little mini walking catalog of my inventory, okay, and what I can do. All right. And so it's easy for me just to give out a business card and even keep it moving. Like if I see someone, and I am that person that I will see someone in a grocery store, if they got a belly, especially if they pregnant, oh yes, I am definitely going to walk up to them for 30 seconds and say, hi, I'm Candia. I just wanted to tell you about my personalization company where I specialize in baby ensembles. That's it. That's my whole spiel. I give them a business card and I keep it moving because my business card speaks for itself. So even if they didn't really kind of catch what I have, all they heard was baby and something. Once they look at my business card, they're going to know what I do. Now, postcards. Postcards is just a bigger miniature version of these. So the postcard, I don't have a postcard. Actually, I have a postcard size. So if the postcard is this and I have a bunch of little pictures, that's actually going to be even better. You understand what I'm saying? So postcard, because I don't mail postcards out. I actually give them out. I just don't have one on my desk right now. But so that's a way to advertise and how you can reach your customers. And then flyers, of course, you know. And then there are so many online printing companies now these days. You don't have to really hire a graphic artist to do anything because they have templates. All right. So your business cards, your flyers, and your postcards is going to be your way of marketing your business, so to speak, right? And then when you are doing these publications, you want to maximize it as much as you possibly can by offering discounts and freebies. So you know, somewhere up here, maybe you want to say if you mention the postcard or if you mention the business card or something, like when you ask your customer who referred you and they say, oh, you know what, I had a business card. Maybe you can give them a like 5% off or something like that, or a free something for a limited time, you know, some kind of incentive, some kind of incentive. All right. So okay, so how to reach them so far? We're talking about you becoming your own graphic artist and doing your own business cards, flyers, postcards, and so forth. So you can do that. Another way that you can reach your customers is pop-up shops. Now, I got to tell you that I am not a fan of pop-up shops, and some of you may be saying, what is that? Some people refer to it as mom and pop shops. Okay, like you vending places, like you rent a table or a shelf or something like that. You know, I'm not a fan of that because when you leave your stuff there, nobody's kind of really monitoring, nobody's kind of selling it. And so what happens is people just kind of come in and they're kind of looking at everybody's stuff. And if they stumble across your stuff and buy it, and then a lot of times you have to rely on the shop owner having good bookkeeping, good monitoring. I've heard some horror stories where inventory was missing and so forth. However, I have heard good stories as well for pop-up shops, and that's why I wanted to kind of mention it to you as well, because pop-up shops do have some pros to it. Number one, it allows you to display your merchandise. Okay, so if no one heard of you, now people have a way of hearing about you, especially if this pop-up shop have high traffic or good traffic. Okay, they don't necessarily have to have high traffic, but they have good traffic. Okay, so it allows you to display your merchandise and sell your merchandise without having to invest in some long, expensive rental lease agreement. And it also avoids having strangers come to your home. For one, I'm not really afraid of people coming here, but my husband does not like it at all. And when you either live alone, you have to be concerned, or if you live with someone, whether it be children, you know, parents that you may be taking care of, or you have a spouse, you still have to respect everybody. So even if you are not afraid, somebody else may feel uncomfortable with strangers coming to the home, picking up, a personalized good. And when you display your stuff in those pop-up shops, you don't have to worry about that. All right. And then you only rent in a shelf or a little corner or something. It's usually pretty affordable. And it's usually some kind of commission that you either have to give the shop owner, or you paid like a $25 or a $50 shelf fee on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, however they do it. But it is quite affordable. That's what I'm basically saying. You know, the problem the problem that I have with pop-up shops, here is the problem that I have. The problem that I have is people that generally go into those little craft places and so forth, they're not really people who are going to respect the quality of embroidery. That's just my personal opinion. So before anyone starts saying, Candia, that is not true, I am just saying that when people go to craft shows and they go to flea markets and you are selling your stuff there, they do not respect the quality and the time of embroidery. All they know is, I am at a craft fair, I am at a flea market, and I expect to pay craft fair and flea market prices, which is one of the reasons why you would never catch me at a craft fair or flea market, because my stuff is not craft fair or flea market quality. That's just my own ego, my own big head, my own ego says, my tags don't belong in craft fairs and flea markets, because my prices does not reflect it as such. All right. However, when you are doing craft fairs, flea markets, and pop-up shops, okay, because remember, we're still talking about how to find customers, how to identify them, where to reach them. The problem that I have with that is inventory. All right, so if you are at a craft fair, if you are at a flea market, if you are displaying your stuff in a pop-up market, in a pop-up shop, you have to have merchandise, which means you have to invest in inventory, you have to invest in embroidery designs, you have to invest time. And guess what? If you are wrong with the inventory that you've selected, if you are wrong with the embroidery designs that you've selected, and you have combined embroidery designs and an item together that no one wants, guess who gets stuck with that inventory? You, at the pop-up shop. And so at the flea market, at the craft fair, because you have your regulars, people that come there every weekend, people that go, and they will come to your table and say, oh, you had this last week, or you had this 2 weeks ago. So they're looking for new stuff. How are you going to get new stuff if you are starting business? Where are you going to find the money and the time if no one's buying that? And now you have to reinvest time in making new stuff. And so that's one of the reasons why I don't like that kind of setup, because you have to buy inventory and you have to buy embroidery designs and you have to invest time. We're not talking about samples here, because typically at flea markets and craft fairs, a lot of times people just want to shop and go. They don't want to order nothing. I'm not saying that you can't be successful at these places. I am just telling you that the challenges and the risk and the investment was way too high for me, that it's just not an option for me. All right, so I'm going to go down before I move on forward just to see what you guys think so far about this. I mean, you don't have to agree with me, but I just want you to be, tell me what you think. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you say, Candia, you're wrong. I'm okay with being wrong. All right. And so Samantha Meeks, happy Sunday. And then Joni Thurman says, are you doing your embroidery business full time? Yes, ma'am. But I just actually started again doing my embroidery business full time. So I'll explain to you. I did my embroidery business full time from 2009 up until 2014. Then I took 2015 off, meaning I closed my business literally from like January 2015 up until actually February of 2016. But it was a full year. Both of my parents were sick in January of 2015, literally, where they both were in the hospital for weeks on end. My mom was on the 5th floor, my dad was on the 6th floor, and unfortunately my dad did pass away in 2015. So it was a bad year. When I went back into embroidery, when I reopened my business in 2016, I knew that I had to rebuild again. I had took some time off and I was starting from scratch, and I knew that I wanted this 10 needle machine. So I went and I found a job, and I have a license in X-ray. and taking x-rays. So I took on a job as an imaging intake specialist, which is a fancy word for x-ray tech, and in a pediatric practice. And I planned to work there for some time, and it worked out. And what happened with that was I was able, because I had just reopened my embroidery business, and then from that point on I had took on a job, and I was able to balance the two because of the way their schedule was set up. But people transition. Okay, this was a company, a man who owns this company, he's building his brand too, and so he added another day. And so I automatically knew that that wasn't going to work for me, because the way it was already, I was working 4 days and I was running my embroidery business 3.5 days, but long hours, which were equivalent to full-time hours, and it was pretty tough, but I still was able to manage it. So once he took that extra day away from my schedule, I knew that I could not meet the demands that they were having. So I planned my exit. I planned my exit financially. I planned my exit schedule wise here, what I was going to be able to do, and so forth. And I made changes in my business. So I didn't just up and say, I'm done. Nope. I really did take some time to think about it. And plan my exit properly. And I had planned back, actually, I would say in December of 2016 to be done with my job around June 30th. It didn't work out that way. My last day was actually around July 17th or so. But I really wanted to stay until they found someone, my replacement, so to speak. And so it was worth it, because they were always good to me as well. And so I am CEOing full time now, to answer your question. And I got to tell you that I haven't had a really good full night's sleep until since then, because I mean, I am up some long hours, and I'm up early hours, okay? Because you do work harder as a CEO. And the thing about it is, back in 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, I had help. Okay, because at one point I had two boutiques, and I ran a home-based business, but I had a small team of people helping me. People go to college, people get married, people move, people have babies, and their lives change. Actually, when I opened the group Embroidery Boss, I actually had 2 stores at the time, and I had closed them. And so this is the first time I can say that, yes, I am a full-time CEO, and I am doing it alone, meaning at least back in 2014, I had my son who was able to do local deliveries. Now I do my own deliveries, all right, because my son is married, he has his own home, he has his own life, and even now my 18-year-old helps me out, and he's going to college in 2 weeks. But, so, and even then, back in 2013 and 14 and 2012, I had a house full of foster children too, who were always down here in my studio, and I always assigned somebody doing something. You know what I mean? And so my life has changed. I don't have any outside boutiques anymore. So I don't have an outside staff. I don't have anyone to pay. I don't have an inside staff either. I don't have an in-house staff either. And so I literally do everything on my own, which is one of the reasons why systems are really important. I always like systems. So okay, so we have 19 people in here. I'm just going to go down and just take some more questions. Hi, RK Bonds from Florida. And then Joni says, amen about flea markets and craft fairs. People don't expect those cheap prices. I'm sorry, people do expect those cheap prices and will not respect your price for your ensemble. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not only that, it totally would disparage my reputation of selling a custom-made beautiful baby ensemble at a craft fair or a flea market. It would totally kill everything that I've worked in my company to be about. You understand what I'm saying? And so, no. And then RK Barnes says, I don't do outside affairs, not worth my time, but love to go to them. Oh, most certainly. Not, I have to do a studio tour when I get everything situated, because you are all going to see 90% of my studio is from thrift stores, craft fairs, flea markets, 90% of the furniture here. Yeah, I love those kind of places. And so Yeah. All right. And so one of the things I want to go back into in regards to finding your customers and talking about the craft fairs and the pop-up shops and so forth is that once again we talked about, you have to invest in inventory and time and embroidery designs and so forth. These are not samples either. Okay, because you also have to make samples so people can at least see what you have, so you always look full and the stuff too. It's just a lot of times and stuff, and I just couldn't deal with the hopes of selling something and then having to pack up all that stuff and then set up. And if you look at some of the pictures on Google or Pinterest of how people set their stuff up, it's a lot of inventory. It's a lot of inventory that you are buying, that you are embroidering, and it's a lot of time. So I know that it works for some people, and that's why I'm saying it, because I don't want anyone to think that it doesn't work at all. It's just not. It wasn't an option for me. All right, and so let's talk about how larger companies do it. Okay, and so I am very big on mimicking what works and mimicking what the pros are doing. Okay, and we talk about mentorship. That's the whole purpose of mentorship, is kind of working closely, if you can, working closely with someone who is doing what you're doing, and you kind of want to just kind of not necessarily duplicate their system, but you want to get your system in straight in place so it can kind of run effectively or smoothly like theirs. So when we look at larger companies and we look at how do they market, how do they reach customers, how do they reach us? I mean, even still with the day of internet and our phone, okay, you can reach anything on your phone. I still get mailers and flyers from big companies like Ralph Lauren, these big postcards with 70% off, or, Sephora, when they first came into JCPenney back in May, they sent a card. If you come down for a grand opening, they were given these little cute little purses with a bunch of cosmetic samples and so forth. So these big companies have a clear understanding and a clear investment on how to target their customers and sending out things that will entice their customers to come in. And so, without saying, could be very pricey. These big companies are multi-million dollar companies. We are not. We cannot do what they do. All right, because something like mailing out samples of your items can be very pricey. I personally would not recommend it, because that is literally like taking money like dice and just kind of throwing it on the table. Okay, you don't know that if it's going to work. You don't even know if people are even going to care. It's just too much of a I can't do it. Like I said, this can be very pricey, and you know, it could ultimately prove ineffective. And that is just nice words for saying that you can just simply waste your money by sending out mailers. However, what you could do is take advantage of opportunities to give gifts. Okay, one item, not baby ensembles, not a big wedding ensemble, one item. All right, now we already talked about the pot holders and everything. We already know that you can do the pot holders and so forth. All right, but you can actually target other people that not necessarily need pot holders, like other business owners. All right, you can target other business owners, like if someone is opening up a restaurant, maybe you can make one apron. Okay, go and make one apron with their name on it or something, not a logo, with their name on it, and maybe stop at the restaurant. All right. If you know someone is getting married, if you know someone's having a birthday, if you know someone is retiring, if someone's anniversary is coming up, it doesn't have to be baby. I get it. Everybody don't do baby ensembles. Baby ensembles, honestly, is the easiest thing to do, because somebody have a baby, or you have to do is just embroider a name on a blanket and give it to them, and then or do a bib, and that's easy. But there's other categories that you can go out there and reach to get some potential customers, and that is how you can identify your customers too. Who's doing what, right? And so there are plenty of ways that you can reach these people just by paying attention to who's doing what. And once again, I always suggest start with your Facebook family members and friends. They're going to be the closest people and the easiest people to get to. They're not going to look at you strange like a business owner would if you walk into their place of business holding a gift. Okay, they will probably be shocked, grateful, but kind of looking at you like, okay, but not a family member or a friend. So reach out to them and see what works. So the next thing I want to talk about is on how to identify your customers is you need to know, and we're going to talk about the money for a little bit. And I know some of you may not agree with this, but that's okay. You need to know how much you need to make. So yes, part of identifying your customer is knowing how much you need to make. And what I mean by that is not inventory. I'm not talking about how many bibs you need to make, how many blankets you need to make. I am talking about money. Okay, and I know people don't like to talk about money, but you got to talk about money. All right, and now I see that we once again have 20 people down here. I just want to go down and just say hi to everyone real quickly. Then we'll come back to how much do you need to make. Samantha Meeks says, when I first started, I got a lot of business just going to parties I was invited to. Yes, I would make them great gifts and everyone loved them. I would just happen to have my business cards with me. Absolutely. So that's another a way of creating wow factors as well and being remembered and getting noticed. And so if someone is having, let's say, a housewarming, if someone is having a Thanksgiving dinner, okay, and you know that you're not going to see them for Christmas, now is the time. Those are your family members. They're going to be there. They're going to be gathering. If someone's having a Christmas party, if someone is having a New Year's party, okay, now is the time to create something and give it. So what I'm saying is if someone is having a New Year's party and you didn't see them for Christmas, you're going to bring a Christmas present because it was just a week prior, so you will still be within the time frame, okay? And so, yes, take advantage of opportunities where people will be gathering, especially people that know you and you know. You're going to feel comfortable talking about your business. They're not going to be looking at you like you're crazy. And if anything, they're going to root you on. And yes, you do want to have business cards. And you just want to confirm that, yes, you can call me. So don't put any real restrictions on your family, like you can only call my studio. Make sure that they have your house number too. So yes, Samantha Meeks, thumbs up to you because that is an excellent way to promote your business and so forth. Okay, so now let's talk about, once again, the money. How much do you need to make? You need to know what your end goal is. Okay, so that is just so important. You have to know what your end goal is. So that means how much you need to make, because what you need to make, somebody else may not need to make. Okay, when you know what your end goal is, it will give you clarity. And I'll tell you how. Knowing what you need to make, whether you have an internet bill to pay, a cell phone bill to pay, if you have electric to pay, if you have rent to pay, whatever it is that you have to pay, you have to know what your end goal is. And when you know what your end goal is, you will be able to determine what your inventory needs to be. You will be able to determine what your prices need to be. And you will also need to determine, and you'll be able to determine what your spending budget will be. And so if you have an end goal and you are reaching your end goal, it is because selling, let's say this, this is just a piece of something at so-and-so 99 works for you. Or perhaps you may need to increase your price so you can reach your end goal. All right. And so knowing what you are doing, it makes a lot of sense. Remember, I always say that you have to know the numbers, not only what you're making, but how you're going to make it. All right, so you have to have, and that's part of developing plan and strategy, but you got to know, and it can't be overpriced, because when it's overpriced, then it just sits. Okay, and so you don't want to overprice it because you won't make your end goal. So you rather make something than nothing, but ultimately you want to have an end goal in mind. So in my video, making sense versus making sense, I discussed my plan to purchase a 10 needle machine, right? And one of the things that I had to do was I had to kind of revise my business around a little bit, because my baby ensembles were doing well. I was working a machine, but in that video I had discussed of how it was just taking entirely too long, the going back and forth with the customers and so forth. So I had to develop something, and the idea was to develop the personalized baking sets, and I also had to add services to my embroidery business. Okay, and once again, I had said that my goal was to quit my job by June 30th, and I ended up staying about 3 weeks past that, but that was okay. However, I knew what I needed to make to sustain my business by the time I quit. By the time I actually started developing the plan and the strategy, I already knew what I needed to make, because I had, shifted who my targets were going to be. All right, because I already had a growing clientele, a steady growing clientele with the people buying my baby ensembles, but I wanted a new clientele that weren't going to buy my baby ensembles. Okay, so whether that be mentoring students, whether that be sewing students, now it's going to be print screen tees. I'm going to be doing t-shirts. I had to add those targets to my initial target. So that's another thing too. Be willing to expand, be willing to do something different and go into a different direction. Okay, because that is going to actually provide more security, because all of your eggs is not in one basket, so to speak. So you're not only dependent on these people to buy from you. So you can have income coming from here, income coming from here, income coming from here, and these don't have to do with each other. And so that's the smartest way to identify customers, because customers don't necessarily have to be people that are buying embroidery services from you. Okay, so if you think about my sewing students, these parents, they are potential customers, but the customer really, or the consumer really, is the student. And if you think about the mentoring students, they're not going to buy embroidery from me. The whole purpose of them hiring me is so they can kind of sell. So those two categories have nothing to do with my embroidery services. Okay, so the embroidery business owner must define, what you need to make. Because once you can define what you need to make, then you can define who you need to go after. Then you can define what your prices need to be. You can define what you need to sell, and so forth. And that is how you identify your customers. Okay, that is how you identify your customers. I do want to add one last thing, but I do see that we have 27 people down here on here with me. So I just want to go down and say hi. And we are going to say hi, S Mark, Candy. Hi, Candy. I appreciate all of your videos so much. Great. Thank you. And Arlene. Hi, Arlene. Just went to a housewarming with a gift. Yes, Arlene. And then Anna says, hello from Philadelphia. Yes, I'm in PA too. I am making clothes just for myself, but would love to open a clothing line. Well, a clothing line is something completely different, because if you're talking about clothing line, are we talking about things that are repetitive with your tags on it? Are we talking about custom, where we're talking about once and done? Because that's how my baby ensembles are. They are once and done. I can duplicate it. You understand? So if somebody see a baby ensemble and they want exactly that, I can duplicate it, but it's not necessarily like something that I'm going to make and stock in my studio. All right. And so what kind of line are we talking about? All right. So you want to think about that, because if you're talking about developing a clothing line just to kind of add something to it, then you might need to go into a different direction altogether and consider a production line. Okay, because you're going to need multiple things and you're going to need fast, and you can hire private label companies to do that. So that's not something to be intimidated about. You can hire, I know American Apparel, I know they went out of business, or they closed like 90% of their stores or something like that, but they used to do private labeling, and they had very good quality clothing. So what I'm saying is, even some of the larger companies you may be able to find does private labeling and so forth. So that's a whole new different target. That's a whole new different target altogether in regards to identifying your customer. All right, so Sharon Brown says, thank you very much, Candia from Ireland. Hi from Ireland. Yes, that's why I love the internet. And then the Baby Shower Place says, hi from Alabama. And Julia Oliver says hello as well. Well, hi, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. The last thing that I want to add, the last thing, I know this is a whole new different topic. All right. First of all, if you are an embroidery business owner, and this is just my opinion, okay? Just my opinion. But if you are an embroidery business owner, right? Under 3 years, consider yourself in a different phase from someone like me and other embroidery business owners who have been in business for more than 3 years, okay? Because you are in the plan, test, and learn phase. Okay, so under 3 years, in my opinion, you are still in your plan, test, and learn phase. You don't have a niche yet because you're still planning, testing, and learning. All right, so under 3 years, you haven't been in business long enough to say, that's what I'm known for. You're not known for anything. This is just what you are developing. Okay, and that's just my opinion. I don't know if that's too harsh or not, but under 3 years, you are in your plan, test, and learn phase. And if you notice, that's 3 items as well. All right, because in the first year, you are planning. In the second year, you are testing. And in the third year, you are learning what don't work. You are learning what you tested failed. You are learning how your plan may need to be revised. Okay, and so identifying your customer. Now you're going to learn how to identify your customer. Okay, so once again, and this is just, I know that that's a whole new topic, another topic, but I just wanted to add that if you are under 3 years in your embroidery business, you are in the plan, test, and learn phase. We can talk about that another time, because I've already had you at 45 minutes, and I got to get some work done in my studio, but I just wanted to add that. And I want to see what you guys think about that. AK Barnes says, love the money and to keep my money, customer service, and making sure customer loves their purchase is my end goal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because they will return, they will refer other customers when they are happy and when they are satisfied. All right. And so, I'm going to let you guys go. But one of the things that, I just want to kind of close you with that when you understand that you are in your plan, test, and learn phase, you will have the ability to identify who your customers are by planning and looking at who is in your community, who is in your circle, who you have access to. And once again, when you identify those things, then you can kind of develop what you need to be selling, what you need to invest in, and so forth. All right. And so I am open for questions for the next couple of minutes or so. If any of you have any questions, you can post them now. We are already at almost 47 minutes. So let's go. So the Baby Shower Place says, I operate as 2 different companies. I started as Express Creations doing t-shirts and now as the Baby Shower Place doing baby ensembles. And I'm sure that that works for you and you can kind of marry the 2 together. All right. It's almost like what I'm going to be doing as I started with the baby ensembles and I'm going to be doing t-shirts and stuff. So yeah, we might actually need to talk the Baby Shower Place. You might can mentor me. So yes, because I don't know anything about the heat press. I just knew that it was a good idea and I knew that it was a good market and I saw the growing trends for it. And so I thought I'm going to get in on this. And so AK Barnes says, absolutely agree with the 3 years. I'm telling you. You are. A lot of people don't like to hear that, especially when they are 2 years in. They're like, oh no, I've been doing this for 2 years. I know how customers. No, baby. No, you don't. No, you don't, baby. No, you don't. You don't even realize you're a baby. No, you don't, baby. You're still a baby. All right. And so they don't like to hear that, but it's true. Joni Thurman is asking, where do you purchase your pacifier and teddy bears? These bears came from Walmart, Walgreens, Target. No special place. I have hauls. My videos. I'll post the videos down below so you can see me buying them because I took you all with me to the stores. Yeah, you can see me buying these bears and teddy bears and bunnies. And the pacifiers, they come from Dollar Tree. I also buy a lot of pacifiers and baby stuff from closeout stores and so forth. And so like I actually have a box of pacifiers that I actually just got from a store that went out of business and I got like the pacifiers for like $0.10 each or something like that and they're in packs and everything brand new. And so yes, I am very big on purchasing when a store is going out of business because you can negotiate best then. Sharon Brown says, thank God for that. I was getting worried. Yes. And then Joni Thurman says, where do you purchase the clear bags for your Pampers that goes into the ensembles? The clear bags? What do you mean clear bags? Where do you purchase the clear bags for the Pampers? I don't put the Pampers in clear bags. So I'm not sure. Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about a video that I had I think about 2 weeks ago where the customer was getting sample pack. Those bags are, do I have one here? Are party bags. They're party bags, you know, like where you put a bunch of candy and stuff and they come in sizes. Those were party bags because the diapers that I'm giving at that point are either 4 diapers, 6 diapers, or 8 diapers with a nice pretty ribbon around it. So I put it in the clear plastic bags so they can remain clean. But when they are in the ensembles, they don't go into plastic bags. They are open because they're enclosed with the ensemble. Right? And so yeah, and so yep, yep, yep. I know what you're talking about. Yep, they are party bags. And they come in all sizes. They come in all sizes. And so, what was I gonna say? I also purchased t-shirt bags too. A t-shirt bags, let's say for bibs, if it's something that somebody just want to order very quickly and they don't want me to do a full presentation or something, they just want a single bib, you know, and they want to keep costs low as possible, then I will put the bib in a t-shirt bag. You know what I mean by the t-shirt bag, right? Not the ones with the size on it, and just kind of fold it up and send it out first class. All right, and so that's how I do it. All right, so anybody else have any questions? Okay, so let's see. Let's see. And Arlene says, I get t-shirt bags from Uline. You know why I don't get my stuff from Uline? I mean, I don't know. I hate paying for stuff as much as I can. I mean, I just don't like doing it because you could get a good deal and then you'll end up having to pay like this ridiculous shipping and handling because of the weight. Because of the weight. And I don't like that. And so going to these closeout stores and stuff and going like into their hardware section is the way to go. All right. And so RK Barnes says, my shopping habits changed when I started. I used to shop for what was needed in my home. Now I shop for blanks and new ideas. Absolutely. All the time. Always look for opportunity when you can. And Arlene says, haha, me too. Paycheck goes to blanks. Well, the whole idea is that you don't have to invest your paycheck. All right. The whole idea is you can fire your boss and work for yourself. That is the whole goal of working and running an embroidery business. That's not forever. There has to be an end goal, and the end goal should be quit job and work for yourself, unless you have a situation where you need medical insurance, you know, that kind of health benefits. You have kids, they need health benefits. Don't go off quitting your job because you might just need to figure it out. But the whole goal is to not spend your paycheck on your embroidery business, but your embroidery business should spend its own money in its embroidery business. Okay, and then Joni says Uline can be pricey. Yeah, I don't find them to be cheap, and maybe it's just me, but I need to see the most for the investment that I'm making. So, you know, I'm really big on how much is that going to cost and how much my markup is going to be and how much my profit is. I need to know that. I need to really know that. All right. And then Arlene says discounts and sales and wait to stock up big and get free shipping. And then she says, in goal, I quit Saturday. Arlene! That's so good, Arlene. I'm so proud of you. And you know, you and I work really hard together. And I am just so happy for you, Arlene. That's good, good, good news. I'm happy for you, Arlene. That's wonderful news. And I got to tell you, Saturday is going to seem like forever. This is going to be the longest week of your life. The longest week of your life. Everything is going to get on your nerves, girl. Everything, and you are going to wonder, why didn't I do this sooner? And you are going to be so proud. And if your last day is on Saturday, that is going to be the worst morning or night or afternoon, whatever time your shift starts, is going to be the worst time of your life. You are not going to want to go. Okay, at least that's how I felt. But I had a good run. I was able to save money. I was able to invest in my business, get what I want. I was able to develop a cushion, so I knew that when I was leaving, I had some money set aside. So it was a good thing. All right, she says, blessed and thank you. Okay, guys, so if that's all you have, I am going to log off. I'll give you all about another minute or so to get your questions in. I'm interested to see what you think about what I was talking about. You know, if I could kind of review, I always write myself little notes so I can refer to it. How do you identify your customers? If somebody can kind of come in right now and tell me, how do you identify your customers? Let's talk about that really quickly for like the next 5 minutes or so, and then I'm gone. So how do you identify your customers, Arlene? How do you identify your customers, Joni? How do you identify your customers, Sherry, if you're still on? And Sharon, RK Barnes, the baby shower place. How do you identify your customers? Julia, Oliver, how do you identify your customers? All right. So, because there's always different ways to identify them. So, how do you identify them? How do you know who your customers are? How do you know? All right. Do you wait? Do you wait for customers to find you, or do you go and try to find them? All right. So, who are your customers? All right. And how do you prioritize them? Like, who's more important? Who's likely to spend with you? That's what I'm saying. Because for me, women are a priority, which is one of the reasons why the other day with that Mom Squad t-shirts, we're talking about organization, a national organization of 450 women. Guess what? Women are mothers. I need to be the go-to person because I don't only do t-shirts. So I'm going to start off as t-shirts, but guess what? I will have now the golden opportunity of presenting my embroidery business to them. Women have babies. Women have daughters. Women have sons who have babies. So that was like the golden opportunity. So when we talk about identifying your customers, automatically they were potential customers for me, even though I don't do the repetition. Like, I don't necessarily do the production line like a whole bunch of t-shirts, but it is worth my while to do so. And so I instantly identified them as potential customers. Joni says, I work at a university and my faculty and students are my customers. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. Co-workers and your students. Good. Arlene says, based on orders, I have changed my plan and now I study what they need and look for. Be careful with that, Arlene, because customers will have you going all over the place. And we're talking about customers that are one-time customers. Have you looking for all this stuff, investing in all this stuff, and they buy it. They buy it once and done. And now you're stuck with all of this stuff. So be careful with giving them the power to kind of have you like a puppet buying and looking for all this stuff. That's going to prove very expensive and pricey in the long run. And you'll find that you'll end up sitting on inventory. So you want to be careful with that. You want to be very careful with that. And then Joni says they love bags. Tote bags from Walmart is a big hit. Keep buying them. I think Walmart kind of got hip to that too, because I thought that they raised the price this year. It was just me. I didn't get into the whole bag thing, but I just kind of noticed that. Arlene says, as soon as I get an in and try to see how to keep them coming to me. Your in can be just offering something that they can't get anywhere else, or offering for a better price. So you only need one. You don't need an in. You only need one. You only need one. Trust me. You only need one. All right. And so you only need one. Think about my situation with this Mom Squad. I sold a t-shirt to one person. And that one person literally took what I did for her and showed everyone. And then 3 people ordered. And then another person ordered. And now the orders still come in. And this is only in a matter of a couple of days. You only need one. You don't need an in. You need one. Okay. And then the baby shower place says local school for my t-shirt business. Good. And that's huge when you got a one person in a school, because a school is literally a box of potential customers that can go on and on and on and on and on. So that's awesome. Arlene says, thanks. It's more so the organization just found another organization that I approached with a small item to promote their organization. Absolutely. Arlene also says, thanks for great advice. You're welcome, my dear. Samantha Meek says, for me, it is easy because at this point, 90% of my business is pageant sashes. Oh, we definitely need to talk, Samantha Meeks. And I actually have an order for something like that. And pageant items. We also have vinyl and Target business for large signs and shirts. Definitely. So that's actually good, because what you have now is exactly what I was talking about. You have one thing, which is your income coming in from the sashes, and it has nothing to do with your business with the large signs and the t-shirts. And so that's good. RK Barnes says, everybody is a customer and I wear what I do. Everybody is not a customer. Sorry, RK Barnes. Everybody can't be your customer. And think of it like this. You know, that's one of the reasons why I never worry about people stealing customers from me. If somebody want to duplicate one of my baby ensembles, or if a customer don't want to deal with me anymore and they want to go with somebody else, there's too many people out here. And it is virtually impossible for everyone to be your customer because you can't please everyone. You can't. You cannot please everyone. So everyone isn't your customer. So you might want to rethink that and kind of narrow it down. All right, and so the baby shower place. My mom owns a couple of child care centers. Oh, girl, yes. And so I focus on the parents and staff as well as word of mouth. But Facebook is also a lifetime. You have a world of opportunity at your feet, and I hope you are taking advantage of that, especially if you have connect access to a string of daycare centers. People with daycare centers are 90% of them are going to be young mothers, and young mothers have what? Babies. They have babies. And so, yes, definitely. And then even daycare centers or child care centers, they're toddlers. So you can also do the party shirts and stuff. All those things that are catering to or focused towards children under 5 years old. So good plug-in for you. Catherine Ortiz says, fundraising organization. They needed to fundraise and I offer them key fobs, send them 5 samples. They order 100 and they are going to promote my business at their activities. You know, I wish we had more time to talk about that, Catherine. Now, I just have to give you my little opinion on fundraisers real quickly. You want to be careful with that because the whole purpose of a fundraiser is so the organization can make money, which typically means that they want to pay the least amount possible. All right. So it doesn't change the invested time. It doesn't change how many times that you're going to be running your machine or the quality of thread. It doesn't change that. All they know is the end result have to be profitable for them. So that's the whole purpose. So a lot of the times when you are doing fundraisers, you kind of take the shorter end of the stick. However, I'm not opposed to doing fundraisers maybe once in a while because it still serves as an opportunity to get your business out there on a broad scale, but it can't be something all the time. Otherwise, you will see that you're burning your machine. You're busy, but you're busy not making really much of a profit. So be careful with that. Be careful with the fundraising kind of thing. Okay, all right, we are past an hour, and I think that I am going to log off. I have my to-do list. I don't have a long to-do list today, so I guess I'll be back on later. And I have new earrings today, matching my shirt. So I'm happy about that. And thank you all for joining in. I appreciate you participating. I appreciate your questions. And I will try to log back on later on today. I just have to get some things done and stay on task. And I will see you later. Bye. Happy Sunday.